Hi, viewers. My name is Linda Reinhardt, and I'm an integrated marketing manager with Anritsu. And we're here today with Danny Gonzalez for episode 3 of Anritsu Unplugged. I've got a long question for you, Danny, so let me try to get it out in one breath. So here we go. What new measurements and KPIs, key performance indicators, should network deployment engineers and administrators consider when deploying 400G ZR and ZR Plus optics into high-speed optical interconnects? I did it!
Excellent question. And we deal with this a lot here at Anritsu because most of our customers are always coming to us with KPIs or key performance indicators. And it's a very common term, right? Key performance indicators or KPIs. It's used in a variety of different fields, from like accounting practices to like fitness buffs, right? But in the case of what we're talking about here, KPIs, as it relates to 400 gig deployment, really breaks down into about three different but all equally important categories, right? So the first one that we're looking at is the Ethernet client performance, right? So that KPI has to do with, is my traffic, right? My data, my customer traffic going to be able to cross the network and remain at a high level of integrity, right? So what do those KPIs look like? Well, the most common KPIs, which they're actually defined as benchmarks, are your Ethernet throughput, right? Am I getting enough throughput? How much frame loss am I seeing? How about delay, or what we call latency, right? How long is it taking the traffic to get from point A to point B? Um, there's also additional ones for the purpose of just verifying as I'm stimulating not just good traffic, but Ethernet client performance when there are network impairments, right? What happens when my network shuts down? What happens if I lose a link? What if there's a lightning strike? What if there's an earthquake? Whatever it may be, how does my Ethernet traffic perform as it's going through my network through all of these various impairments? That's the first KPI, those benchmarks. They all fall under that performance or Ethernet performance. Now, the second KPI has more to do with line transmission performance. And what I mean by that, it goes back to the comments I made earlier about forward error correction and forward error correction efficiency. Now, again, forward error correction plays that critical role in determining how far my signal can go across my fiber. And there's different types of forward error correction depending on the standard that I'm following versus ZR, ZR plus, and Open ZR plus. But at the end of the day, they're all fundamentally doing the same thing. They're correcting a certain amount of traffic to ensure that my data remains stable and the integrity of my data remains high as it traverses the network. Now, customers and engineers who are deploying 400 gig ZR, ZR plus, they're performing that forward error correction efficiency measurement in order to determine, am I meeting my KPI? How many errors am I receiving? How many corrected errors are being made? Just so I can make sure I maintain that integrity. Okay. And then the final KPI, just for the sake of this conversation, has to do with optical performance. Now, the optical performance is actually the light itself, right? We're not talking about the data per se. We're talking about the physical light, the wavelength, because after all, these are coherent optics, which means each coherent optic is tuned to a specific wavelength channel. And each channel has a specific characteristic, right? When you look at all the different channels in there, even though they're all very closely together, there's different things that could impact different wavelengths, right? So the measurement that we see most commonly taken in order to perform your actual optical performance is what we call optical signal to noise ratio, or OSNR. And the idea behind that is, again, is to being able to verify that specific wavelength transmission, the optical channel itself, and verify the signal to noise ratio as it's traversing across that fiber, because different things could impact that, such as the amplifiers that are being used, or the distance that we're covering, or the performance between the first channel versus the last channel, and how do those channels vary even though they're going over the same distance. Those are the three common, or most common, KPIs that we see taken today when deploying 400 gig ZR and ZR plus in the field today.
I did want to ask, though, one quick question. What are you holding in your hand?
Yeah, so this is fun little Anritsu toy that we provided to a lot of our clients and such. It's just this little stress ball that has these various facial features. I have this one that's apparently very happy. I have two more back there as well. I guess it's all the different phases of engineers when they go through testing from, hey, my test passed, to, oh, my test didn't pass, and oh, why do I have to run this test?
Well, that's fun. All right. Well, if you're ever in a place where we are at an event, come by and visit us. We'd love to, if maybe we still have some, we can throw one at you. Thank you, Danny. That was a very thorough explanation to a very long and complicated question. You were absolutely the best guinea pig we could have had for the beginning of our regularly scheduled Anritsu Unplugged series. Next up, we'll be interviewing another application engineer all about PCIe and how it's being used in modern bus standards. So keep an eye out on our social media channels for any new and upcoming episodes. We look forward to seeing you again.